All right, today we are on more pronouns. This is beginning on page 30 of your textbook, and we're going to talk about 4 types of pronoun today: the relative, interrogative, demonstrative, and reflexive and intensive. And of the 4, I believe the most important are the relative pronouns. And the reason for that is because a relative pronoun begins a subordinate clause: who, whom, whose, which, and that. And a subordinate clause, we're going to learn next in the next book about what a subordinate clause is. But let me just tell you at this time, if you can remember the 5 relative pronouns, it will make your life so much easier whenever we get into that chapter. And we'll study this again. It's cyclical. It goes around and around. So today, relative pronouns, what you need to know about them is what they are and somewhat how to use them. So we've got relative pronouns that begin a relative or subordinate clause. I'll just tell you right now, a subordinate clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb, but it does not make complete sense. So an example of a relative or a subordinate clause would be that he went to the store. If I just walked up to you and said that he went to the store, you would say that doesn't make sense. So we'll talk about this later. All right, the next type of pronouns are interrogative. And these, look how similar they are. I'm going to color them the same color, and you tell me, look how similar these are. Who, whom, these are the same color. Whose, look at this. Which, can you believe this? They're the same words. The only ones that are different are the words that and what. I can't get that one highlighted. So that is just an FYI. These are very, very similar. How do you know which is which? Do you know by now how to know? It's how they're used in the sentence. That's right. How they're used in the sentence determines whether they're considered a relative pronoun or an interrogative pronoun. An interrogative pronoun is super simple. It just asks a question. So we could say, who is your mother? For whom did you buy that jewelry? Ooh, whose new car is that? Which one of those dresses are yours? What are you doing tonight? Those are interrogative pronouns. They just ask questions. All right, a demonstrative pronoun. I want us to look at this. So again, we have the word that, but it's used differently. That is the only one that's the same of those 2 lists, but there's only 4. And this is somewhat kind of like a possessive pronoun in that it shows ownership. So a demonstrative pronoun, they're this, that, these, and those. So it shows a specific person's place, things, or ideas. So for example, I would say, this is my computer. That, out there in the yard, you can't see it because we're on video, but that is my car sitting in the driveway. These are my headphones. These are my headphones. These right here, these are my headphones. But if I put them over there, I say, those are my headphones. So it shows a space, a place as well. But demonstrative pronouns are used in front of specific persons, place, things, or ideas to say which ones you're talking about. This thing or that thing. These things or those things. Okay. The next one are the relative and intensive. And I told you this whenever we were talking about the pronouns up front, but I just want to show you here again. Each of these words, so this makes it easy to identify. You just learn a few of these little tricks. Look at this. They all have the same word in them. They all have the word self or selves. Okay, and the purpose of these are to reflect back to the antecedent, and we learn the antecedent is the one that the pronoun is talking about. or to intensify the antecedent. Okay, so let's look back again. We'll go over all these in a little bit. So see, we've got this far to go, and then we'll do some exercises. So a relative pronoun begins a noun clause, and I talked to you about that a little bit, but we'll learn this in depth in the next book. So when using a relative pronoun, use the words who or whom when referring to a person. Use that when referring to non-persons. Please do not write sentences like this. The man that went to the store is my cousin. No, it's who went to the store is my cousin. I feel like I am correcting the world on this one because nobody ever says it right. Ever. It should be the man who went to the store is my cousin. If you're referring to a person, then you use who or whom. The word who is used as a subject or predicate, nominative. The word whom is used as a direct object, indirect object, or object of a preposition. All I'm doing is I want you to just store that little information in your head because we're going to come back and I'm going to teach it to you in depth in the next book. But what you need to know is really be able to identify. So when we get to a sentence, are these relative pronouns, interrogative pronouns, demonstrative, relative, reflexive, or intensive? All right. We've talked about this, who refers to people, which refers to things, that refers to things, but could refer to a class or type of people. All right, here's a little note. I was a professional writer for several years. I wrote proposals for government contractors, and I was always having to correct this. But I heard it once said that the word that should never be used in writing. And I found that it can be eliminated altogether, and it sometimes sounds better. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. If you want to be an excellent writer, try to avoid the word that. All right. We talked about interrogative pronouns. Who is your favorite comedian? To whom? Demonstrative pronoun. We talked about that. Reflexive and intensive. Oh, here's a good note. We have no such word as their self and their selves in the English language. If you ever hear somebody say that, just make a note to not do that yourself because that sounds really bad. My camera is on this screen and I keep looking at this screen. I have two screens in front of me. That's why my eyes keep shifting. Okay, let's go. I want you to go to this exercise and choose the correct pronoun in the parentheses and write what type it is. So we'll do number one together so you understand. Sherry bought a car, who that had been wrecked. So first of all, you have to determine what is the antecedent. If it's Sherry, it would be who. But Sherry had not been wrecked. It's the car. So the car is the antecedent. So therefore, you would use the word that. Okay? All right, you guys work on that and I'll come back and see you in a little while.